Hey peeps, welcome to NasTime, welcome to my shed. I'm here today to talk to you about my experiences with not one but two of the Kings Grand Tourer rooftop tents. Now for those that are new to my channel, this channel largely started a couple or so years ago around my trailer build, my camper trailer build. It was essentially a Mars Titan soft floor camper. I ripped the soft floor tent off it and I replaced it with a hard shell tent. I have got a few videos on that if you want to go back and have a look a bit of the history, but today we're talking about the rooftop tents in particular and a couple of bad experiences I've had. Before I get into it, I do want to say I've been an advocate of Kings for quite a while. I do like what they've done for the industry, quite frankly, and what this channel is all about is promoting adventure. And Kings have really opened the doors up for a lot of adventurers. My experience with Kings Grand Tourer rooftop tents started a couple of years ago. Ultimately, I was quite keen on the 23-0 Saber rooftop tent. At the time, it was around April, I needed a rooftop tent before my June trip and the Saber didn't quite come out till a little bit of time after that. So, looking around, I looked at models like Drifter, wasn't keen of that style, and quite frankly, if I'm going to go with that style, I'd probably go with Anaconda. I'm not a big fan of the Drifter brand. And the other one I looked at was Motop, obviously. For me, I wasn't a fan of the company behind Motop. I heard a few bad things about them as well. I'd done a lot of research into the Kings Grand Tourer. I know there were some issues with the MK1, but there was a brand new MK2 out, and I was quite confident in giving it a go. Now, initially, I had absolutely no bad experiences. I had the tent for well over a year. It actually went really well. Done quite a few modifications. You can see some of those on my channel. And I had some really great experiences. One day in particular, took a trip down to Betts Beach, just out of Echuca, opened up the tent on site, and it was just full of mold. Now, the last time I used it before that was at my Lake Lonsdale trip. I've got videos to all these if you want to go and have a look at them. And it was quite a wet weekend. Travelled home during the rain, dried it out as best as I could, packed it away. A couple of months later, on my next trip, I opened it up for the first time again, and it absolutely reeked. It was covered in mold, absolutely filthy and completely unlivable and unusable. Now, at the time, I wasn't exactly sure what the problem was. It was likely that it might have even been my fault. So I thought I'd just go down and have a chat to Kings and run through the experience that I had. Now, straight up, Kings were fantastic. They immediately owned up to the problem and believed that the initial problem was caused not by me leaving it dry, but by water getting through the front sill. Now, for those that are familiar with the MK2, you'll know that there's a sill across the front, and sometimes that tends to move out of place, and if you're driving through rain or dust, it can get through. They have fixed that with the MK3, but more about that later on. Meanwhile, I got home, I did dry it out as best as I could, but obviously, I'm kind of guessing I didn't check the mattress well enough. So, Forward Drive Super Center though, owned up to the problem and immediately offered me a replacement. Now, the MK3 was coming out at the time. I knew there were some big changes on that model, so I was quite happy to accept that as a free replacement. Again, my experiences started with the MK3. I had done a video initially on it, just an initial look at the rooftop tent. I was quite happy with the design, quite happy with the changes that they made to the rooftop tent, and I felt quite confident. Now, I even did a video to test the waterproofness of the tent. I hosed it from on top, I hosed it from the front, I hosed it from all angles, and it held up really well. Now, honestly, I did have a couple of concerns over the rooftop tent initially, mainly around the height of the rooftop tent. They had dropped it a bit, so for me, it meant less bedding inside, which was one of the main things I liked about the initial rooftop tent, but not a big deal in the end. Secondly, I did have some concerns over the design of the roof of the rooftop tent. Now, if you have a good look at it, it's actually just a flat plate with a rim around it. Now, what that means is when it does rain, water can pull up. Now, you can angle it in storage so most of the water runs off, but there's always going to be a little bit of water sitting in there. So, what I did, I left it out in the rain, in storage, and gave it a good test. Sat there for a couple of months or so, with no dramas whatsoever. So I was away for about 3 weeks or so on my Simpson Desert trip. I knew there was quite a bit of rain while I was away, so when I got back, I thought I'd open it up and have another look at it. And as expected, the rain was actually pulling at the top and slowly seeking its way through. Now, a quick fix for this is probably get a bit of silicone and run it around the roof of this rooftop tent. But for me, this was a bit too late. Took it back to Kings, and once again, no dramas. They immediately acknowledged the problem and offered me another replacement. Given my experiences with both the MK2 and MK3 at this stage, I bid over Kings rooftop tents, and I gave them a bit of a push and eventually agreed to get my money back. Now sadly, through both my experiences, what Kings didn't offer me is any compensation for any of the bedding. I changed the mattress, I had good quality sheets and doonas and blankets in there as well, and I lost all those. So that was my expense, but they fully recovered the cost of the rooftop tent. So for me, it was time to start looking again. I've had some really good experiences with 230. I love all their products that are on my rooftop tent. And to be honest, I've got a little bit of OCD, so it's really nice to be able to have a matching set. So I went back to 230, my initial choice for a rooftop tent, in fact, if you've seen my other video, and I had a chat to them. Now 230 have introduced a whole lot of new rooftop tents, so they've got a whole new range to choose from. I did look at some of the other rooftop tent styles, which are very similar to the iCamper styles. Great for extra bedding, really big, but I was pretty set on the hard shell rooftop tent. I've always had good experiences with their products, and I've always had good experiences with their sales team. So I've decided to move forward with the 230 Saber rooftop tent. I've got a little bit of knowledge now on what I'm looking for and what to look out for in a rooftop tent, and I was really excited and happy with the design, happy with the way it's designed on top. No water going to be pulling up, nice strong seals all around. There's no bad reviews that I could come across, but of course time will tell, and we'll do some of our own testing in the near future. For now, for me, it's no more Kings. It's time to move on. Really looking forward to picking up my 230 Saber quite soon. I'm looking forward to do a whole lot of new testing. Obviously going to be testing the waterproof a little bit more vigorously this time. We'll test it in storage, we'll test it in use, and we're going to bring a whole heap of new videos out for you real soon. So if you're interested in all that, or if you've got any comments you'd wish to make or add to this discussion, please make them below. It's really going to help out the community and a lot of other people looking for rooftop tents. Now I look forward to your feedback, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time on NasTime Adventures. Catch you soon, guys.